Are you ready? Are you ready to pod it up?
Let's go. Let's have fun.
Peatcast it. This is the Simply Youth Ministry Podcast with Doug Fields,
But we are an award-winning podcast. We gotta start promoting that.
Matt McGill,
Let's soak up that awesomeness.
How great is this?
Wow.
Josh Griffin,
Just to throw it in there, not all of our shows are going to be great.
and Katie Edwards.
That's what the teens are saying.
Write in. We'll answer your email.
SYMpodcast@gmail.com.
2, 3. Hey everybody, welcome to the Simply Youth Ministry Podcast number 150. This has a lot of meaning to it with 150 because not only is it Matt McGill's birthday,
It's the birthday.
happy birthday.
Dun, 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 dun.
It's also Matt's last day officially.
Tomorrow's my last
Oh,
day.
tomorrow's your last
Yeah,
day?
but no one else is in the office, so
I'll be in the
So
office.
today's your last day.
so today's last.
I'll be
So
in
you're
the
a lame
Seeing
duck right now.
Tron.
I'll be in the office. That was my third
You'll
time
be
to
off.
say that.
I heard that. I just was politely ignoring it.
Do you want to go see Tron with them tomorrow?
Tron?
Yeah.
Do you know what Tron is?
Yeah, it's a movie.
It's gonna be
Movie
so
about
good.
video
Can't
games.
wait. Oh, top.
Oh man.
Wait, but
All right.
Tron's Delight. As a little kid, I loved
Yeah.
I know.
Tron's,
seriously,
yeah,
it was the
transcends
first movie
video
put on
games.
Laserdisc.
There you go.
All right, should we start the show again?
Okay, and we're back.
Anyway, episode 150, Matt McGill, Doug Fields,
Happy
Katie
birthday.
Edwards, and
Thank you.
the host of the show,
Yep, that's right.
Josh
The
Griffin.
host.
This show is brought to you by
I'm not
99
drinking it.
Thoughts
No way.
for Small
I'm not
Group
taking
Leaders.
one more
it's
sip.
not.
Josh, 99 Thoughts for Small Group Leaders.
Fantastic book
Under
for
the
you.
umbrella of Azusa.
Which is sponsored by. Yeah.
So you have another endorsement.
Right here, we got 2 new books out. First is
Sweet.
Parables. This is a 10 minutes at a time, 10-minute moments book
Oh, cool.
on exploring Jesus' parables, 10 minutes at a time. Brand
Cool.
new book that
It's
just
by
came
our
out.
very own Scott Firestone.
Scott Firestone
the
the fourth. And
Editor
what I
of
think
Group
is
Magazine.
I like
one of
that
the
there's a
coolest-
sheep on the
it's a very
cover.
cool cover. And
Yeah.
of course,
It's
Riley
the parable
did
of the
that.
sheep.
And we have
It's
another
cute.
5-week small group video curriculum that is just out that is called Messy Stuff, Finding Hope in the Midst of Everyday Struggles by Heather Fleece.
Love it.
So it's not.
It's not flies.
cooking.
I don't
thought it
know.
was Heather Flies.
Heather,
I
let me
think
tell
it's
you.
fleece.
Can we get a...
Here's
Please.
Fleece.
It's about
I
barbecue.
would
the deal
pronounce
about
it please
Heather?
too.
Heather, when she hugs you, will break
Crushes
your
your
bones.
bones.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
I've
like
never
You're so elderly.
it's
No, no.
endearing
Your liver
and
spots
painful.
break.
It is like people run.
It's what
from
she's
her.
known for, like her
It's her
bone-crushing
signature.
hugs.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You know what I
so
would do?
small group video
Elbow
curriculum.
to the jaw.
Take
As she
this,
comes
Heather
in.
Flies.
Yeah.
Bam.
Please.
Your hug
I know,
defense.
It's a bit now.
Anyway, video curriculum, excellent. Those of you who are regulars, Simply Youth Ministry, you know the reason we plug those things at the beginning is to make Andy happy and keep the show on the air.
We have to,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
We don't really have to.
And we're chained to the table.
And also,
yourselves
a
out.
50% sale is in effect at Simply Youth Ministry with some of our big savings on training, sermons, and small group materials. There is a sale tab, Katie.
Delight.
If you go on the
So
website, there's
basically
a
it's the
sale
stuff
tab.
left over
For
in the
50%.
warehouse.
Everybody
Apparently
likes a
it's not
sale.
everything.
You know what's
Everybody
not
likes
on
a sale
sale?
at Christmas.
99 Thoughts for Youth Workers or
So
Small
don't
Group
buy
Leaders.
it. That's what you're
Oh, I was like, you got the title wrong. That's
I know,
weird.
I was like, oh, I gotta save it.
Josh, we
No.
missed you last week, but I have to say it was an excellent
I
show.
heard the show was awesome.
did have an excellent
Yes.
show.
Really
Thank you
was
for all of your affirming
glorious.
texts, though, saying how much you missed me. And that was all. Oh, wait, it was just you that
Just
did
me?
that. But thank you, Doug, for that.
Well,
I don't miss you. I see you every day.
Here's the deal. I got to keep the host happy. That's my job.
true.
Keep the
As
host
well
happy.
you should.
All right.
Did you guys know that I'm listed in there as an editor? I just found that out.
Dude, and you're in the thank yous.
You have an editor
You see
credit?
yourself in the thank yous?
Not surprised.
Aw,
I'm in the
cute.
thank yous, But I'm listed as an editor.
Yeah.
You should
is
put that on your
amazing.
resume.
You're big time now.
Editor.
You're a high school pastor.
That's right.
Right there, McGill. Boom.
That's great.
All right. Hey, we have.
Wait, how old are you today?
38. I'm just about 40. Can't wait till I'm 40.
Your liver spots are coming, man. 38.
Oh, I probably already got them.
Yeah.
Just underneath a fat roll somewhere.
But you're
Do you
looking.
want to tell Josh my text I sent you this morning?
Yes, you sent a great text this morning. You said, can we talk about that on the air? It's very inappropriate.
It's not
No, it wasn't
appropriate.
inappropriate. It just took me a second to think about what it was. No, you said, I'm thankful for you and so thankful that 38 years ago your parents had sex. Which is great.
Appropriate. Yeah,
touching.
it's a
It
true
was
fact.
Very touching.
Heartfelt moment.
Yeah. It was
And
great.
Matt wrote back and said, thanks. Wait, my dad had sex.
That's funny. Which reminds me of a
Still.
time after I burned my house down. That story's probably inappropriate.
Yeah, bro, I want to hear it at lunch today for your
Yeah,
birthday.
okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And first youth ministry question. Here we go.
Hey, no, we got a lot. We got, for those. Is this going to be our last one of the year? Can you guys
Yeah.
pull one off next week?
Oh, my
I
heart
don't
started
know, I'm
beating. I
in
thought you were going to
between.
say our last one. I
Last
was
one.
like,
We're gonna wrap it up. on history.
Look
5
at that.
years right
The
here.
first female who's
care
been a
about
part
the show.
to care
Who's
about the
cared.
show.
I
Yeah,
know.
this
Okay.
is
I like
unbelievable.
it.
She's really the first female who cares about youth ministry and life and us
And the show.
all that is.
that is
Yeah.
not, that is
Yeah, no,
false.
Natalie-
Jana was just in it
False.
for the money.
Natalie was in it for the money because it was her job.
Right.
Yeah.
And
too.
Jana came because she worked for me and she pretty much.
Well, and
Yeah.
she
the only
loves you
time
guys.
she could get decisions made.
Exactly.
Was
An hour
before or after?
After the podcast.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But,
Next week I'm jobless, you guys, so I might not be able to make it in
Because
here.
you have a few weeks off till your
Yeah,
new gig
next week
starts.
is.
Yeah.
But
That's
it's
great,
like
though.
2 days before Christmas, next Thursday. This is probably our last one of the year.
I can't do
2010.
it.
I'll do
Yeah.
I'm
Christmas
gonna have
Day.
Yeah.
kids. I'm gonna be Mr. Mom for a week.
Chris is like, I'm not coming, so forget you
You know
guys.
what? Here's the deal. Sometimes I forget that really I'm the most committed.
Yeah,
And
you're
so
the
I
most
have to kind of
dedicated.
filter down.
Holidays
and go,
mean
okay.
nothing to you. Vacation, screw
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, his whole life is pretty close to that anyhow. So.
Vacation.
Oh, there's a vacation coming up. No.
How is that
Didn't you
different
just-
from today?
Yeah. What about?
Yeah.
Look who's talking. Who just came back from
I know. I
vacation?
had a couple days in Palm Springs. It was great.
Oh,
Got to see some old
nice.
friends.
See that?
We were in a timeshare from Misha's mom and dad. It was great. So we just
fun.
watched movies.
the whole
Lots
lot of you,
movies.
or the you and me?
Good Lord, no, not the whole lot of us. No, what?
Vacation
the
is
five
not,
children were
yeah.
there.
It would have been
Yeah,
a
the five
trip.
children were
If
at
you
home.
went with your kids, it would have been a trip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we could
Your wife
do
for
trips
vacation.
at home. I mean, that's what home's for.
Well,
Absolutely.
and some people are watching live right now on
Right.
simplyyouthministry.tv, which is our first day to have our own
Yeah.
.tv channel.
Very cool looking little website. Way to go, Chris.
Yep.
It looked so nice.
And-
then
Fantabulous.
Mark Eads
I love the
sent
colors.
an email in that
Beautiful.
circled the time. It says listen in 4 hours because there was a countdown clock, but he was commenting, notice the countdown clock and what time my computer says. You guys doing a late night podcast? So
Oh.
is there some error on that?
Countdown showed.
It worked fine on mine, yeah.
Ours,
I looked last night. It said like
Maybe
14
it only-
hours,
yeah.
and it was
which
roughly.
which would have been about
Four.
right.
We should do a late night. That would be fun one time.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Dance-
do it- we're
dance
gonna do it at
party?
a conference.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Get ready for that, Katie.
I'm very excited and ready.
Okay. Jim Lane from Calvary Baptist, Ozark, Arkansas. I was thinking about
Love
buying
the Ozarks.
41-minute Bibles and the 52-week curriculum that goes with it. Are you running any specials till the end of the year?
50% off.
Yes. No, $9, $9.99.
Oh, I was like
or something
50% off 1 minute Bibles. I'm gonna buy 100.
But do we offer the 52-week curriculum anywhere?
Uh-huh.
Oh, we
Yeah.
do? Oh, great.
Could use a
It's just
redesign.
kind of the stepchild
But it's nice.
of curriculum these days.
To the live.
Yeah.
To the
It's
live
still
it up.
good
Everything
curriculum
is.
though.
It is.
It's got good stuff in
It's
there.
good.
Anyway, the 1 minute
We'll find a
Bible
way to put it
specials,
in
we
there.
run specials in December, which is a great
okay.
Christmas gift, and start the new year.
Yeah.
Start the new year with
I
Bible
love it.
reading. Challenge your students. That's what we do too.
This is an email from Joyce Willem. It says, nice to meet you. How are you and how's your work? I hope that all is well. My name
Work
is
is
Joyce.
good.
I know that you may be surprised how I get your email. I got your email today when I was browsing looking for honest partner. Then I feel to drop this few line to you, and I will like you to contact me through my email so that we can know each other and exchange our pictures and maybe become partner. Remember, the distance does not matter. What matters is love we share for each other. I am waiting to hear from you soon.
Tell me you
Thank
clicked
you.
the link and got a virus or something.
I just thought that was
They're ready to transfer some money
Joyce.
from Nambodia or something.
yeah.
What's happening?
Nambodia?
Is there a country
Once
called
again,
Nambodia?
No. Good try, buddy.
It's a new country.
That's why I'm podcast.
That's why I'm podcast. If you'd like to spam us as
I
well.
just invented a country, you guys.
Is Tajikistan?
Nambodia.
This is an
Nambodia is
email
what he just
from
said.
Michael Whitney, Ethan
Thanks.
Lincoln,
Nebraska.
Elizondo. Wow. And
Good job, buddy.
Here's the deal. This is kind of a neat thing. Used to be a worship pastor and his wife. They were both youth pastors. During the good old days of youth ministries, we started watching the podcast and we fell in love with the crew, even Matt.
Oh.
Oh,
Is that
whoa.
even Matt or especially Matt?
No, even
Even.
I
Matt.
see especially. Oh, no, it's
You
even.
see what you want to see.
Yeah. Since
True.
we've
It's part of your
transitioned
charm.
into
Best of
other
us.
areas of ministry, and I've served as a worship leader, blah, 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 we're now planning and working towards launching a career campus as part of a multi-church site, Turlock, California. blah blah. So we've changed gigs almost as often as McGill has over the last few years.
Whoa.
But that's the way it is at times, and we're striving for and seeking God's will. Anyway, we've transitioned away from youth ministry, but we can never give up the podcast, the team. It's always fun and always encouraging.
Very cool.
And I thought in the New Year spirit and the Christmas spirit, we don't really get many emails from people who are in youth ministry
Yeah, that's very nice.
that are still listening.
We don't get that many people that are still listening.
Wait a minute, 0-0 though. So is he up on the wall?
Did he say 0-0?
That's what it says at the.
0-0 club
Oh,
exclamation
yeah,
point.
then he
Quite a
is.
few new
Then he
people
is.
up here today.
Is there? I
No,
haven't
there's
paid
not.
attention.
No.
No, he's right here.
Her
He's right here.
and
Well, I think
that's
that
great.
Yeah.
beach
These
filming.
two are new.
That's last
I
week.
like
You
the
were
Yeah, you weren't here last week, Josh.
Oh yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
for all your texts, guys.
Yeah.
Were
This
we
is
supposed
from
to text you?
Mike McGarry. He says, "Hey, I read APU's.
I like most of that name.
APU stands for Azusa Pacific University.
No,
where
that is a good.
never heard of
you
that
went
before.
there. Matt graduated from there, and
I was an alumnus.
actually teach there now.
You're a professor.
Professor.
I read I read APU's news release and totally laughed when it mentioned the podcast.
I'm not drinking that.
Do you think people will be disappointed when they listen?
Oh,
after
that is
plug?
a horrible question.
What?
What do you mean? Who
I
would be
think
disappointed?
I think it should have said, quote, Doug helps Josh Griffin host a podcast where Matt McGill shares his knowledge and Katie Edward gets scared of people's mugshots.
I like it.
But don't worry, there's enough youth ministry you won't feel guilty for listening.
Just enough.
I
if you're
do
gonna quote
wonder
quote
if
it
the
right.
literary types, the professors out there, would watch a show like this.
Oh, not a chance.
In all fairness.
No,
This
No,
is
they're
more
too
for the
busy of
working
thinking things that will
class
never work anywhere.
show. We are the common man.
The
we are not
common man.
the ivory tower.
No.
Write your books and do your thing about
you-
theory.
Did you
I
hear what
think it's
McGill just
evident,
said?
like in minute one, when you're watching that that's
But,
the
yeah.
case.
Half a minute. Did you hear what
30
McGill
seconds.
said? He said, no, they're too busy thinking of things that won't work in ministry.
Wow.
I love college professors. I really
I do
Way to
too. I
get
just
that
wish
out
they
there.
also served in the church.
do. Yeah.
Anyway, Mike,
No, it
thank
would be
you for
okay
that.
if they don't serve in the church. Just don't talk about the church, or talk about the history of the church. Just don't talk about how it ought to be
Right.
when it's
Unless
been
be
10,
a part of the
15.
solution.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
love
easy
it.
to take shots. Okay, go ahead.
It is easy, Matt.
Speaking of
And-
shots,
Just like
I
we're
would like
taking
to. I would
shots
like to
there.
Soapbox down.
receipts.
You would like to shoot
I would like to
receipts?
shoot all. I turned in some receipts last week, which took me like 20 minutes to fill out this
I know,
form.
you're a little
I
aggressive today.
I don't. I know. I'm so great. I'm in a great mood until I get the email back from the accounting department that says, "Can you please have the first and last names of everybody who went to lunch?" It's a couple of our podcast lunches, and it's got the first name and last initial. So just because I don't have the rest of the name there, I guess that's not enough. And it's got to be an itemized. It can't just be the receipt from wherever we ate or whatever. It's got to be the itemized of what everybody ate.
So they can evaluate, like, oh, he had the sandwich.
Yeah.
That was $19.
Right.
Yeah, so they're not going to reimburse your beer that you had?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't have bought beer on turned it in. That's against the rules.
Yeah. Okay, snap
But
out of it.
no, I
out of
just
it. You
I
better
just
get
needed
used
to
to
get it.
that.
I
You're gonna have
started
to
to
do
get it
that
off my
at your
chest, and you said,
church.
"Hey, wait for the podcast." So now it's off.
No, I didn't know.
I've
that's
done
what
my
we referred to.
Freudian. It's ready to
Okay.
go.
Okay, here's the deal. Here's what you
You're
need
going to be a
think
high
about.
school pastor. You're going to have to do that when you
The
get
grass is always
Seriously.
greener on the other side. You're moving from
The grass is always greener.
you're
Yeah.
moving from Simply Youth Ministry, where there's so many receipt problems, to
Yes.
Mariners Church, where
I'm
there
sure
will
they
be
don't have
ever.
any.
They
Zero.
don't even care. They don't care how you spend your money.
Probably don't. They
They
probably
it's
don't.
Newport Beach.
Yeah, black cars.
They just give you
Seriously.
cash.
Swiping.
Yeah. It's
You
just
just got
actually
big piles
sitting.
of cash on your desk
Kids
when you
actually
get
come
there.
to youth group and hand you money.
It's
Yep,
weird.
yep.
Hundreds.
So
When do you guys think we're going to start the show?
We're
Oh,
in.
that's horrible.
I'm having a
Okay,
good
guys.
time
I
already.
know.
Good
This
warm-up.
is great.
Wow. I'm sorry. I
you remember
just
that?
needed
You remember
to.
that vote we talked about afterwards about should Neely replace Josh, and how I was the only one who
Just
said
wounded
no.
me, guys. Thank you.
Oh, man.
The commute's too far away. She can't do it. But I know I'm on the bubble.
Jeremy Smith is he's at the USAF Academy Community Director. He says he's a rewinder on the wall, serving as youth pastor at the Air Force Academy Chapel in beautiful Colorado Springs. Reason number 54 for Matt McGill not to flake on the podcast. Who else will cackle loudly while I listen to the podcast next to my wife sleeping and wake her up?
Oh, that's delicious.
That's a delight. That's
That is
a delight.
Yes, that is wonderful.
So here's his question. I have a question. I am planning to start a discipleship program in January and wondered, would you rather err on the side of a cookie cutter type program that you know what the people are discussing or venture into the idea of letting the teacher and disciple live life together and simply give them guidelines on what to talk about during the meetings, but risk that they never address core faith issues and doctrine for the teenager's life.
Well, first
Well-
of all, Matt, you should probably just apologize to that lady right there.
Right. I know that I
Yeah.
woke her up in the middle of the night. I'm very
Jeremy
sorry.
Smith's wife.
Jeremy Smith. Mrs.
Mrs.
Smith.
Smith.
Karen, I
Yes.
decided it's Karen.
It's Karen. Karen.
Jennifer and Jeremy.
Close. Karen and
Oh,
Jennifer.
J and
close.
J. That's nice.
Anyhow, he's sorry.
That's nice. I think you want a combination of the both, to tell you the truth. I think that if you have a set of leaders that you are really confident with what they're going to teach, then the second option's great because they're going to cover the stuff that's important. I think that when you mention the first, they're not mutually exclusive. To have a set curriculum versus more free and relational, I mean, no matter what curriculum you have, I think there's got to be a relational component to it. There's got to be flex. There's got to be there's got to be that life on life, that sharing in the moment, spontaneous stuff. I think that at the same time, to have a little bit of thought about what you want to cover is really important. I mean, and so I mean, for example, at 4 years of discipleship, at some point they should probably talk about Jesus, right? You know, I mean, there's just some basic things that you know you want to cover, and you ought to have those covered. So it's not. I don't see them as mutually exclusive. If I had to err on one way or the other, I would err. I know how great
You
is
would err in the pronunciation of air.
that? Yes. Well, wait a minute. Isn't that? Can't you
that
shorten
a
err
joke? I'm
to err? I don't know. No, I don't think. Isn't that a phrase?
Which side would you err?
Let's bring it over. If I had to err, I think it's a. You
Which
could say
side
that.
would
matter.
you
Get-
It
err
doesn't
on?
matter.
moving,
No,
keep
but if
moving.
I had to do one way or the other, I would say for sure go relational with leaders that you trust, that have a mature faith. It's going to get out. The important stuff's going to get out there. The important stuff's going to get out there.
I like a little I mean, I definitely think a little structure is always a good thing. I mean, when you're going to attach the word program to something, you know, I think, you know, a little bit of a plan on where you want to go, because I think even with a skeleton structure, there's still freedom within that. But, you know, I think as the leader, some sort of plan of where you want the volunteers to take it, I think is always a good thing when you're launching something new.
Yeah.
And I'll go the other end of the extreme and say, no. You want good, tight boundaries. You want an established curriculum. Yes, a little bit of freedom, but having all the youth ministry, small groups, or whatever, discipleship groups, moving in the same direction is a really big deal. Making sure they get all the core values. How it's taught varies greatly,
Sure.
but I think the core curriculum needs to be the same. And we've done it both ways recently. We've done it super loose and super strict. And right now we're kind of doing a little bit of a compromise, saying here's a pool of curriculum that you can choose from,
Right.
but stay in that pool and make sure we get the core doctrines and events of the Bible and etc. So I would say, yeah, reel it in a little bit, have a curriculum, and
Yeah.
stick to it.
See, and I'd rather. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I'd rather get through more questions, but here's my 2 cents on this is that I would say to Jeremy, do you know what the core faith ideas and doctrines are? So when you say that, what do you want? At the end of the day, here are the 5 things, here are the 3 things, here are the 10 things that I want Cassie Fields in your high school ministry to get why she's there. Once you've identified those, then I would say wherever you choose, you either go more of the structured or you go loose. If you go loose, then you have to have more lunches with your leaders and go, hey, you know what, it's been great to catch up with you. I pulled out this sheet of 10 things, and I just want to make sure that as you're working with your small group that walk me through which ones you guys have talked about. So you can't expect things without, in some ways, inspecting what they're doing.
Yeah. And I would focus, if I were to come to that defining point, what it is you're going to define, I would probably rather focus on passages than, here's classical
concepts.
systematic theology. Here's the 10 points that you would learn when you go to seminary. I'd rather say, hey, here's 20 passages I'd like you guys to talk about this year, because I'd rather equip a kid to read scripture on their own.
Good.
Rather than just teaching straight up theology.
Good.
Straight up.
I can't
Straight up.
wait till you move from your ivory tower into youth ministry. See how things change.
Like I haven't been doing that for you for years. The passage route.
This is from Sean alcoholic.
Sells his own soul for a bit.
Kirk of the Hills in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Says, I work on a church that has several people on staff. Some of these staff people, and lay leaders too, think our student ministry is a labor force for all of their events. Do you have any strategies that you've used to deflect and redirect these conversations that always seem to become, quote unquote, a great opportunity for the youth?
That's great.
It is
That
great.
is hilarious.
And I think every youth worker can identify with this because
Totally.
people in the church are always coming up and I've got a great opportunity for the kids. They come mow my yard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Serve project starting with my
Yeah,
house.
I need a babysitter.
Yeah, we had one this
Oh,
week
the
actually. It was
babysitter.
last minute caroling this Saturday at some, and yeah.
They wanted students
They
to come
wanted
sing.
to use your network and your communication tools and get everybody you can there. And to be honest, it just didn't fit with where we were going. And
Yeah. Was it the house my mom lives in?
yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I volunteered to go, of course.
Which is good.
Yeah. He
So
brought your
what
sponsor.
are the boundaries, Josh? How do you do that?
I think you just have to know where you're going. I think that's a little bit of a big picture answer, but if you know where you're going, you know what you need to say yes to and what you need to say no to. If you don't have a clear direction, you're going to say yes pretty quickly. You're going to not say no very easily. It's hard for me, at least, to say no anyhow.
Yeah.
So if I know where I'm going, here's the 5 things we're going after. Here's the 3 ways we're going to do that. Here's the people I want on board. And otherwise, if you say yes to everything, you start to get diluted. Your communication isn't valuable. You try to make things shiny and get people's attention, and you're going to have 3 kids show up instead of something maybe you plan and put a lot of eggs
Can only
into.
communicate so many things.
Yeah, and I would say
Totally.
Christmas caroling for us was an easy one to go, oh, sorry, I wish we could be a part of it. It just doesn't fit. Delete. Or send and delete, whatever. It was out because it just isn't our thing. So a few weeks earlier, we could have pitched it to some small groups and done, absolutely. But, 3 days to go and looking to send out a text to that many students, can't do it.
Yeah.
But that's because I know where we're going.
Yeah.
So thank you, but no.
I was just thinking when you say you have a hard time saying no, you say no to me a lot. I've asked for help on my blog for like
I
6
hate-
weeks in a row. And
He's
he keeps,
giving you lots of help
no,
on the blog.
he keeps saying no. He keeps saying, "Oh, you know what? It'd be better later in the week. Hey, maybe we can."
He does
maybe-
have
Weren't we
his own
having a
blog,
competition
though,
of who
so-
helped you more? We were going to get something. What was that?
Well, Josh has helped me more.
Oh goodness. No.
See, I had a rough couple weeks, but I'm still
But you're still way ahead of what's
No,
going on.
Hey,
I'd rather you lose than him.
Right, I know.
Here's the
It's
thing,
very transparent.
I'm
Thanks, Kate.
Sunday through Thursday wide open, whatever you need. Seriously,
right.
5 days. Let's
Wow.
check on your blog.
I
Now
thought we
the
were
kids
gonna
are
do a
He's also a single dad.
also a single dad with 4 kids. But I'm not going to work next week. I'm
that's
just taking
right.
off plans to go to a funeral with her and her family. So why don't I come over and let the kids swim and we'll finish it?
Let him swim.
Yeah.
You can let him swim.
Is it gold?
You're gonna have to sign him up for.
Put him in
Hypothermia
wetsuits.
lessons.
Oh, you don't heat your pool?
So anyway, Sean, I think one of the things that I would say to this is I would say to the people asking, I'd say you're right. That it sounds like a great opportunity,
Right.
and our ministry unfortunately is not managed by everybody's great opportunities because there are so many. We could do a great opportunity every single day, and what we've done is we've already identified our great opportunities, and this is the direction we're going. But thank you so much, and you're right. Well,
Yeah.
boy, that would sound great.
Yeah. If you were a small group leader, you would know some youth and you could ask them. Maybe something like that.
There you go.
Oh, I totally
That's a
got her
good
shoulder
line.
the other
Yeah.
day.
That's a good line. We don't talk about that on the podcast.
Oh.
But that's
Sorry.
a great
Yeah,
line.
get to know some youths.
Yeah, boy, if
Get
you were more involved,
get
here's
some
a
teens in your
volunteer
life.
application. Maybe this time next year
Seriously.
you know somebody.
Thanks, but
Be
no
great.
thanks. Maybe next time.
Yeah, hey Katie, this is from Chuck Aiden from Somerset, Kentucky, and he actually included a picture of him and
Oh,
I.
he's up there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, over here.
He
Hey,
is?
boobs.
Over there.
Wait, you're on the wall now?
Wow.
And then this.
Oh, it's a nice, lovely blouse you're wearing.
Thank you.
That's his Ace of Spades sleeves shirt.
Yeah. I want to tell you my funny line that I just thought of afterwards. So
Was it
Oh,
inappropriate?
you're
Yeah,
gonna
totally
make us
inappropropriate.
wait?
totally
Blouse.
inappropriate.
Got
Yeah,
it.
so blouse.
Shoot, you're gonna
Can't
forget
wear the
it.
flame jumper today.
Keep
blouse.
that on the
Okay.
table.
Okay. well,
Yep, I could read that.
He says, well, it's blouse you wore. That was the key word.
I'm just saying, I could read it.
Key phrase. Key phrase.
And we're back.
He is doing background checks, just starting to. So he's had most of his volunteers, Katie, have been with him, family members, people he's known. But now that they're growing, their church is growing, and they need to implement this policy of doing background checks on volunteers and children's youth. I have the approval from the senior pastor. I put together a proposal to take to the board, but I was wondering if you had any recommendations and what type of background check would be adequate for church volunteers.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'll need that
I would say,
information next
there's a
month.
lot of great systems out there. I'd say, cost is usually an issue. We actually have our volunteers pay for. It's just something our budget can't handle. And we can't pay for the background checks for the people that don't work out, and we try to on the back end, pay for other things like camps and retreats and that kind of thing. But
give them free copies of
yeah,
99 thoughts for small group
exactly.
leaders on the
Because
umbrella of
Zuzu.
most background checks are going to run you like $15 to $17, which is a pretty significant charge. But I would just say whatever program you look for, you want a state and a national. So you want,
they can
because
cross
there are
state
different
lines.
systems,
Do
which is
that
a
in
weird
Dukes of
thing.
Hazzard.
You want a state thing, and you want felony. Sexual crimes fall under felony, so you want at least that, and then a national search as well.
And some would probably also, in certain cases, would want like a driving background check as well. And if you're going to be using the church van or whatever.
Sure.
And I don't think you'd ever want like a credit check or anything like that. But maybe a
Yeah,
tithing
we don't
record.
do a credit check.
I could be a senior pastor.
No, yes, you could. Holy smokes.
Hey,
Like
Chris,
Glenn.
why don't we have the live show find out
The companies.
what we've got with Group? Because I know Group does
Yeah,
a comprehensive
Oh, yeah,
one.
you're right.
Yeah.
It starts
and
with a K. I can't remember what it's called though.
live show actually just crashed, so it's just.
Oh,
Poor live
live
show.
show.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
And
live
we're
show.
back.
yeah. They group.
Did it crash or did they all leave? Oh yeah, it crashed the show crashed.
Yeah.
The show's fine.
Group does have a system, and I think it's $18, and they
covers
have
everything.
I think
This is 17.
you can get it as low as 9.
Oh, you
Get
can.
as low as 9.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it
check-
lets
check the group
some of
site.
the people
Yeah.
through.
Yeah, for $9, it's like
not
I'm
very
not.
good.
Yeah,
But most
for
of them are
$9,
great, and
some of the
they're-
murderers
they're-
might slip through the cracks. Are you sure?
You
wanna
could, yeah.
skim?
I mean, the background check is only so good. It's only, there are things that, you
Yeah,
know,
first-time
things can
offenders.
slip through the cracks, but a lot of it's over email, and you get them back in 24 hours. It's really painless to do a background check.
And we just make that part of our volunteer application. The last page is
the background check
consent form,
sheet, and they
your
staple
check.
their check.
And
yeah.
that's not so. I mean, that's not too much to ask someone if they're going to serve in a youth ministry.
Well, and
hey,
we
here,
use
give
it-
us $15.
And we use it as a bragging point when we talk to a parent and say,
Sure.
hey, every one of our leaders, including our staff, everybody, background check. We follow up with them where we know what's going on.
I never did the
So-
background check.
Yeah, you did. You just didn't know.
No, just kidding. I know.
might have
Actually, I
paid
did
for
do
yours.
it. I did do it actually.
Yeah.
All right, and Chuck, if you want, go to Group and check theirs.
It's in
And
their
if you wa-
volunteer
If you want
section.
more options than that, Katie, can you just take this?
Yeah,
Shoot him-
totally.
shoot him an email.
Absolutely.
And we're working on a product that.
Oh,
yeah, it's
Brazel!
exactly
The spirit of Brazel has just
lives
entered
on.
the room.
that it's about managing your volunteer team.
Is
and
this the
part of
Google
that-
Docs for
And
youth
part
ministry?
of it is
A background check.
Yeah, we're gonna have one in the first quarter of 2011.
It's so much more common now that it's
Yeah.
it's
Right.
it's,
It's easier, yeah.
so
Google
much
it and get
simpler than
10
it
great
has been in the
results.
past. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a letter from Mike Farnsley, Director of Student Ministries, Kodak United Methodist Church, and it's too long to read, but I'm kind of doing this for your birthday, Matt.
Thank you.
This
Oh.
is one I would not normally
This is a
read,
present?
but I think you will get a kick out of this.
38.
Okay?
Why would I want to
So-
be kicked?
He basically said that my personality, the way I communicate, the examples, my dorkiness, he says it describes him as well. Though he says he has a bit more hair at 25, haha,
That's
which
funny.
that's where we would
Yep.
differ because his humor's not that good.
Right.
By listening to you, reading your books, and using your curriculum, I have a better idea of how I can be more like Jesus by watching you become like Jesus each week. However, I hit a snag early this year in my comparison. My supervisor and I were discussing leadership figures we thought we were similar to. And I was in the process of reading your book, Your First 2 Years in Youth Ministry, and I excitedly shared that I felt a connection with you. But my supervisor bluntly looked at me and said, "What are you talking about? Doug is the ultimate administrator." Jeremy's wife.
Yeah, I was going to say, Jennifer, I'm
That
sorry.
is
Sorry, Jennifer.
unbelievable.
I'm sorry for
He said, "What are you doing?"
the ultimate administrator?
Yeah, so happy birthday,
Who
Matt.
is
Oh, what a gift. Look at how
Your
really
sup-
fired up.
Your supervisor. I'm sorry. is not very smart.
So here's
Or
what
we've been wrong all these years, and Doug
You know,
is.
Doug could be
Wow,
administrative.
I like that
if
he put
needs to
ultimate in
be.
there.
let's continue. We don't need to comment on me.
We're sitting at your feet, ultimate administrator.
To work at a church
File
as big
this.
as he does, and to do the things he does,
Yep, last week's emails.
you have to be an administrator. That's not you. As I stared at him sheepishly, feeling very foolish all of a sudden. Now, he goes on, fast
Foolish for
forward
reporting to that guy.
Fast forward a year, he's now at a different church. He says, long story. He says, I'm talking on the phone with my mentor, a 20-year youth ministry veteran, former youth pastor, about leadership styles. I told him I wasn't sure who I related to as a leader anymore, and I asked him who I reminded him of. Without any hesitation, he said, well, I think you're a whole lot like Doug Fields. Saddened to break the news to him, I said, but I can't be because Doug's the ultimate administrator.
This has got to be a bit.
Uproarious laughter burst out of my phone's earpiece, confusing me. Are you kidding me? He said. Doug can't even keep track of the emails he prints off to take his podcast.
Amazing.
He has other people make sure to have them
He
printed
has
out,
other
waiting
people.
for him. He's all about
has
people
other
first.
people.
That's just Doug. Heck, the high schoolers he hired to help run Simply Youth Ministry out of his garage when he started years ago are way more organized than him. And that's okay.
True
Doug
word.
hires people to cover his weaknesses. So he
That's
says,
funny.
I felt
man.
I
such a
want to know
sense
who
of
his
relief.
mentor is. Who that mentor was. That would be interesting.
The original mentor.
Yeah. That is very funny.
Ultimate.
Because
the
maybe
reality
he
is,
met
though,
you
you're
in some
organized when you
perfect
need to
storm of
be.
gloriousness. You know, the original mentor of like, wow. You know, right,
I
a
bet
moment where
you-
you had it all.
No, here's what it is. His original supervisor, he's really administrative, and he thinks that
Exactly.
to be a good
Leaders are
leader, you have to
administrative.
be
That's interesting
administrative.
thought,
I mean,
yeah.
that's my guess.
In some ways, you are administrative. Like I've watched you when you
When you
craft
need
the
to be.
talk, and you have hours set out to do that, and there's juggling pieces and emails
Yeah.
still flying. I mean, you can. I mean, part of
Yeah.
that is just.
In strategy and in big picture, I think
absolutely.
you can totally. do
But
that.
as far as like,
Well, the other
managing
the other
emails,
thing, part of it too, is our memory is a little bit short term, so we remember of what is like the last few years, and the reality
Early
is,
on, you were the only person.
well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
back in the day when I was doing it by myself, I
you were the ultimate administrator.
was the only administrator. But
That
let's
needs to
let's
be a
be
book.
honest, the one strength I have is that when other people come around that are good at things,
Just let him do it, yeah.
absolutely, so Matt comes along
Totally.
who can way out administrate me.
And Jana.
Sorry.
But so anyway, the point is,
Wish Jana was here for that.
No, that would have been a
so do
gift to her.
all the little people that sit on the inside track.
A lot
right
of
there.
people have heard Jana on the podcast. You just talked about her earlier.
She was on 40 shows, 20 shows, whatever it was.
Yeah.
That seems like a
Not
lot.
very present though. Let's be honest. It's not like Katie.
Not like Natalie. I love Natalie.
Anyway, happy birthday.
Happy
I thought-
birthday. That was
Happy
really,
birthday.
that was
That
funny.
That
That's
was-
what you got for him as your gift.
I did.
That was enough.
All of us got you that as your gift.
Thank you that.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, it's always
I
the
thought it
day
was-
after Tori's.
Yeah.
It's always the-
really.
I thought it might be the day before you lose your job day celebration.
True,
I didn't know it was
true.
birthday /
Yeah.
Yep.
And the end.
You know,
All right.
the ultimate of that would have you pay for
And-
lunch and then have to turn in
I
one
know,
more set of
except turn in
receipts.
one more receipt.
But
Yeah.
Nadeem is here.
Seriously.
Nadeem is here, and they can pay for the lunch as long as our team buys messy
Messy
stuff.
stuff.
Finding
Yeah.
hope in the midst of everyday struggles. 5-week small group video curriculum.
Now, has any of us used
or
this? Do we know
Parable.
this is good or not?
I like the other ones. Our junior high leaders really like them.
And you know what? She's written some live lessons,
Yes.
and her lessons were really good.
She's very sharp.
Yeah, and I because I don't know her personally, but I
She-
do remember her
yeah. I
her
think she's
name
amazing.
attached to some of the live lessons, and they were very good.
All right, this is from
Some weren't so good.
Susie from Blue Ridge Mountain of Virginia. Virginia.
Virginia.
What?
You sang happy
Cambodia?
birthday to me on September 15th on the podcast.
That's nice.
Anyway, here's what I would say. She's looking for, in a long way of asking, what is some
Long-term relationship.
what is some basic material that we might have to help kids grow spiritually? And she's taken 101 through 401, which is a more big picture. But here's what I
Heavy information too.
Here's what I would encourage you to do, and this is going to sound self-promoting because it's my book, but if maybe you guys can come up with other ones, but this is one I was thinking of: the Life Together, the 6-week curriculums. Which interesting anyway. That Youth Specialties last week on their website, they had their top 10 best-selling books. 5 of them were these Life Together.
Oh, it's awesome.
Well, it's
series.
true for Simply too.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't look at the numbers and stuff a lot, but Chris could probably help. But the Life Together stuff still sells pretty good.
Yeah, it's always up there.
It's always
Well,
up
it's
there.
inexpensive. It's good curriculum on some of the basics.
really well-rounded.
Beginning with Jesus. It talks about the purposes. It gets kids on the right track. It's volunteer friendly, the whole bit. But I think it's like probably $5 a kid for 6 or 8 weeks. I can't remember. So 75 cents a week.
Yeah.
What other you got? Any
that's
other
great.
basics?
I think that's a great one. Probably one of the cheapest.
I think so.
Well, the 1 Minute Bible curriculum.
Oh, 1
I mean,
Minute
we
Bible,
talked about
right.
that. I think
Yeah, I agree.
that's also cheap. The Live stuff, a ton of people are using the Live
Yeah,
curriculum,
Live's
and
pretty cool.
it's blowing up for
That's
how
our-
many
our
people
primary.
really like the Live stuff.
Didn't you do Bible Institute or whatever it's called now? Rooted New Testament.
Yes,
That would be a good.
yes, I would like to talk
discipleship
about
series.
my single product in the bookstore.
Your
It's
only product.
download only because it's
It is?
not
They
very.
don't even print it
It's not even really high quality enough to be printed like some of these other fine products.
You know what? Once you jump from your ivory tower and start doing ministry,
Seriously.
I think your writing is going to improve.
I hope it does
Yeah, it didn't
one
work
of these
for me,
days.
but Good luck.
It didn't work for me.
Oh, well.
Oh goodness.
This is from Craig Pfeiffer,
Do I have the wrong job?
Walla Walla, Washington. I just love the name Walla Walla.
Wait,
Where are you from? Walla Walla, Washington.
That's
It's a lot of
exciting.
W's.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the World Wide Web.
He asked this question. I'm a pastor of student ministries here in Walla Walla, just wrapping up year 5. I have leadership over kindergarten through 12th grade. I have a
Whoa.
great children's ministry director, so 95% of my efforts go toward the youth ministry. Our high school program doesn't hold kids very well. We usually start off with 12 to 20 freshmen and graduate 10 or less, which when I thought you start with 15 and graduate 10, I thought that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Our high school students don't do friendship evangelism very well, rarely invite their unchurched friends. On the other hand, our middle school ministry is thriving. Numbers go up as the ages go up. Kids invite their friends like crazy. Kids are becoming disciples, and we see new life much more than our high school ministry. So is this normal? Are kids kind of, quote-unquote, youth grouped out after 6 or 7 years?
That's a great question.
I love high school kids as much as middle school. We have great staff in both ministries. I even spend more time with high school than middle school. So am I the problem? Should I start looking for a larger church that has a position for a designated middle school minister? Or is there some sort of high school secret I'm missing?
That's a good question.
I love when
That is a
somebody
great
would say,
question.
am I the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that probably means you're not, because you're humble enough and you're praying it through and you're thinking about it. It's possible, but I love that attitude.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
willing to
I'm
look at
really
every
willing.
angle.
Yeah.
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 I don't know necessarily if that's normal, although, and you guys
If what's
chime
normal?
in. When he says that junior high is thriving and high school's not, is
Oh.
that normal? I don't necessarily.
I feel like it's usually backwards. I mean, I feel like it's usually like high school's thriving when the youth pastor's heart is in high school and middle school is
Yeah.
kind of teetering a little bit.
But most churches, junior high has more kids than high school.
Yeah, I would
Well,
say
Well, because
that-
they're connected to families and
that's
Yeah.
parents.
I
And,
mean,
Junior high
that's
should be
a-
growing
that's-
and thriving if the church is growing and thriving.
Yeah, I
High
mean
school's
that's
always
isn't
gonna be
that kind
harder.
of an accepted thing true
I
that's
don't
a
know.
lot about a lot of churches?
No, I don't. I think a lot of it is where the leadership is directed. I'm with Katie on that. But I don't always think that's necessarily,
right.
you know,
The norm. It's
yeah.
just something I hear.
Well, there is no secret.
yeah.
I mean, he might be missing something. That is true.
Well,
I don't think there's
it
like
is.
one thing.
It is normal that 11th and 12th grade year, kids are going, hey, look, I've been in this quote-unquote youth ministry type thing, some since 6th grade.
Totally.
So this is
Yeah.
now year 5 that they're going
Yeah.
on. It feels the same. There's a little bit of drop off. There's independence with a driver's license.
Job.
It feels, if they're blended ministries, it feels really young when all those 6th and 7th graders come
Yeah.
in. I've said this many times. I think junior high is one of the most important ministries in the church, but I also believe it's a lot easier than high school ministry. And that's no offense to those.
No, I would agree.
I think it's just easier. I think kids are more,
They're not as cynical. They're not as guarded. They're not.
Well,
as,
and it's
Well, plus
youth
they're not
ministry is a little bit
intelligent.
more new when they come into middle school. So, what we're doing is really different than children's. And so they're kind of like, oh, this is so great,
Yeah.
Speaker and music and, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, like things just are fresh and shiny in junior
Yeah.
high, and we have the opportunity to get them first and kind of throw out everything,
Yeah.
And then,
And they're an
Kinda
easier,
steal the
they're an
thunder
easier
of high
audience.
school.
they
too,
are an
in
easier,
terms
a little
of-
bit more instantly loyal, a little bit
Yeah.
more willing to connect with leaders. It is
You
a
can
little.
laugh at just about anything.
And I think I'm hilarious.
Yes.
Until you step on the high school stage.
Yeah,
and
then
you're
they're like, what the heck? Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know. I'm hilarious. So, yeah, it is. I think it's definitely, there's definitely an ease about the junior high transition that's really different, I think, moving into high school.
Yeah.
You got anything, Josh?
You know what? I don't. I'd really like to hear you guys answer this because I'm agreeing with everything that's said. It's harder. It's more challenging. Junior high is easy. It's bright and shiny. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I would just say you've identified some great things that aren't happening, which are the key to growing. I mean, friendship evangelism.
Yeah.
I would say an attractional and missional youth ministry is really important. So have fun, have a great time, invite people to Jesus,
Yeah.
be evangelistic, have a great program to invite them to, a weekend worship experience or whatever it is, or youth group. But I'd also say there's great power in evangelism and the stickiness of your ministry by serving other people.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the social movements and serving in your community, that's a big reach in as well.
Yeah.
So
Definitely
it's going to take a shift.
Those
in-
older kids, challenging them to serve and, giving them some maybe next level things beyond the attractional program. Because I think for
Yeah.
freshmen and sophomores, I think that's a really great thing, to drawing them
Yeah.
in. But I think they hit junior and senior and they're like, okay, well, what else and what's next? And some of those, answering maybe some of those questions for the older students of
Well,
like, okay,
And once you answer some of the questions, it snowballs a little bit. Like if you've got a junior kid who invites a friend, and their friend trusts Christ and is a new believer as a junior, that kid who invited them is going to stay because
Right.
it's like their friend just
It's like their own
experienced the
mission.
beginning.
And
Yeah.
new kids that
There's-
are juniors and seniors aren't tired of the ministry.
Exactly.
Right,
So they're
right.
going to help the new believing friend is going to help their friend stick through
Yeah.
the last year or two. Something interesting my wife and I were talking about this week about we have 4 kids in adolescent development. Typically, my oldest will treat him a little younger because he's the old, and we'll treat the youngest a little bit older. So if you put that into the 4 years of youth ministry, I was like, okay, so our youth ministry is designated for like a sophomore and junior year of high school. So, kids coming in are going, this is awesome. And people that have passed that age are looking back going, I think I'm past this a
Sure,
little
yeah.
bit. So part of the fall off is natural. I mean,
sure.
I agree with you
Well,
on
and
that.
it's just the need. We've all experienced kids will be at Saddleback for X number of years, and then they go, I'm not getting anything out of it or whatever it is, and then they go to another ministry, and all of a sudden, it's so much deeper.
Yeah.
Well, it's not deeper. It's just different.
It's just
Right,
new.
Or
Yeah.
vice versa. Kids have come over to our ministry
Sure.
and saying, I used to be over at whatever,
Wherever.
and man, yours is
Yeah.
so much deeper. No, it's just different. That's part of it. The other thing is, kids tend not to leave relationships. So
For sure.
you've got that junior and senior. If they're locked in with a small group leader, chances are high they're staying involved.
Totally.
Now, if they're not connected to somebody or to a smaller
they're out.
community,
There's nothing
yeah,
to stay
when the
for.
allure wears down,
Yeah.
it
Yep.
But we feel that transition in 8th grade. I mean, always the end of 8th grade, we've got students starting to sneak over because high school's, and then I think seniors start to migrate towards college. And, I think that part's really natural.
Well, let me draw 2 things that you guys kind of said, but to put an explanation point on it, if you will.
Thank you.
Is
Gentlemen in the ivory towers.
That's right. It's funny that you think that that's.
Do you think I think that, or
Yeah.
do you think that I'm?
No. I
just
think
a bit.
no. It's great that you think that you're getting me.
Oh, okay.
That's not that you think that. No,
okay.
of course you think that.
That's a funny
I'm
bit.
getting you.
No,
I do too. Yeah.
No,
Hey, welcome back to you.
welcome back to Youth Ministry. One of the greatest years of my life was when 1 month Doug said, "You're just at times you're too impractical for the church," and then my seminary professor, like 2 months later, said, "You know what? You're too practical for seminary." It was very funny. But what I was going to say is that
Was that it?
no, that wasn't it.
Lovely. Thank you
But
for
the
that.
point, one of the things that you guys talked about, I'll go quick. I'll try to go quick. Is to have the ministries be different, and so there was different things that we would do programmatically, as simple and superficial as no tables, but then there would be tables, so at least the room would be different. Or, hey, let's stand on the chairs, and this is older, not necessarily newer. Well, it's okay to stand on the chairs and have a dance party during the service, but we would say, no, just relax. You don't need to stand on the chairs and whatever. So there would be some superficial program stuff, but also strategically, at Saddleback, if it's a 4-step process, the whole idea for junior high, for the most part, was let's get them to step 2. And not even fully to step 2, but just to kind of get their foot in the water with some of the discipleship, grow on your own stuff. But in the high school ministry, we would try and have more, we would have, here's what discipleship on your own can look like.
Definitely.
Bigger. And here's what serving can look like even more, and student leadership and whatever.
Well,
So
even the missions trips
Yeah.
go a little further,
Yeah.
and everything
Right.
is a little bit.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah, so-
definitely not trying to squeeze everything into junior high.
Right.
But give them a taste so that
Right.
hopefully we're handing them off ready for more.
So,
Yeah.
like I said, didn't say anything new.
Good
Just adding a
explanation.
little
But you
bit.
just gave more to
Yeah, it was
Craig
good.
and Walla Walla.
It was
Good.
lovely.
Good. From the ivory tower.
There are,
Looking down on the mess.
Like Tangled.
I've got 3 emails
That's blonde hair spinning.
right in a row of
Got some long neck hair right now.
this one woman who works part-time. She's talked to her pastor about going full-time, and the pastor says probably not going to happen unless you consider ordination. So she's saying, do I get ordained?
Oh.
Do I get ordained? Should ordination be my motive for changing my pay? There's another one from John, and
Absolutely.
his pastor, or he went to the board to help out, say, hey, we're struggling financially. And this question cycles. I mean, in 150
Totally.
episodes, we address
Talked
this
about
off
it.
and on. He says, we're almost to the point where we're eligible for food stamps. The board is not willing to help out. I was told they couldn't figure out why we can't make it, since they made it with that much income when they were my age. If I didn't hear that directly, I wouldn't believe they said that. I feel like I might be too pushy if I mention it again.
Well, back in the 1800s,
Right.
30,000
Back
was a lot
in
of money.
1952.
Well, what's interesting about
maybe we need to
this,
send him a book on economics.
John here, he says they even got with a financial advisor who, after reviewing their data, concluded we're in a place that only another form of income can take care of. She said
Call
we
that
just
negative
don't
cash
make
flow.
enough.
Negative cash flow.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah.
It's called The Church Can't Help and You're Running Out of Money. What do I do?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a third one you said or no?
Well, there is a third one. This one, this is a friend of ours that we all know is in a church in the southeast, and he just everything's going good in the ministry. There's just feels tension with the senior pastor. It feels like he's ready to quit one day, and then God does something incredible.
Yeah.
The next day, and he says, I'm tired of this. I know that as long as churches are full of sinners, that no church will be perfect. I am one, and I can deal with that. What I'm tired of dealing is the never feeling the same way about this place 2 days in a row. It's very much a love-hate relationship, and I can't imagine that's healthy for anyone. So do I just suck it up and keep serving the student ministry, or do my issues with the pastor supersede that? Is there a time at least consider walking away, or do I hang tough and attempt to capitalize on the incredible potential there seems to be here in the student ministry? And I feel like all three of these, they require that tough conversation, with the pastor. I think if you've done your due diligence, like the money one, where you're going, okay, we can't make it. We've gone to the board.
Right.
gone to the pastor, then I think it's time to say,
You got to go make it.
I got to go make it
Yeah,
somewhere.
totally.
I don't want to leave. You know, I
But
don't.
the ordination one feels different than the second two.
Well,
I'm not seeing the big conflict. I mean, basically, ordination is a group of people saying, yeah, you should do ministry, right? I mean, that's the heart behind ordination.
yeah, but what she says is,
And if you
I
want to do
haven't
ministry-
considered ordination. Should I just do it? Should I forget about the full-time gig and just volunteer my time where my family loses time with me without getting reimbursed financially? Or should I start looking for a full-time job elsewhere?
Oh, it doesn't want to be ordinary. Okay.
Part of me why I lump these together is because I realize they're not simple questions, and they obviously are each individually worthy of a lot of time and thought.
Yeah.
But I think in any type of situation when that tension that you're feeling just isn't going away, and you've been praying about it, doesn't go away. You're faced with it every time at the end of the month. You pay your bills, and you're coming up short.
Yeah.
You feel like your family is being sacrificed. I mean, when all those feelings gather on the table, it's time to deal with the stuff that's on the table. And so you got to make that appointment. Like with this last one where the guy says, I just feel like 2 days are never the same. I go, you get together with the pastor and you say, hey, there's tension here.
Right.
And I either need to dig deeper and find out what this tension is so we can resolve it.
Yeah.
Or I need to hear from you that there's not tension, but here's what I feel and here's what I see. And be clear of the next step. And even with the financial ones, if clear of the next step is, hey, in this environment, we can't pay you anymore. And for the next year, it's not even possible. And like one person said they got a $50 a year raise for the last, 6 years or something like that. While the pastor, they're sending out letters to the congregation saying, let's do a year-end love offering for our pastor.
Yeah.
And he's going, they'd never remember me. I mean, all this stuff that creates tension, at some point, you have to address that tension.
Year-end
Or
love
you
offering for the
you just
pastor.
become bitter, and you begin losing sight of what God has called you to. I mean, I think it's normal for us to feel that pain for a little bit, and gosh, is this me? Is it the church?
Yeah.
Gather those feelings, but
hope
then
it's normal.
at some point
But there's a click. There's like a moment where it turns.
where you have to do something.
You have
about
to
it.
do something, or
Yeah.
there will be a point of no return.
Your
with the
heart will
bitterness and
shrivel
stuff.
up and die.
Yeah.
You'll either eventually burst it out, and then you'll be out of a job, or you should have had
Totally.
the conversation.
Well, you wind up staying
Yeah.
there just for the paycheck.
There's 5 minutes
the
left on
small
tape.
paycheck.
Well, whatever it is, you wind up
just do
staying there
this.
because you don't want to, or you think the conflict's going to go away. And I think one of the common themes that we keep coming back to at this table is conflicts don't disappear.
They don't go away.
Absolutely.
You got to address them. So, all of these require, a kind of a step one, a step two, whatever that step one is. Maybe that step one is, I'm making my financial need known. Okay, that didn't do anything. Step two, I'm bringing my financial need to the board. Oh, well, you should be able to make it on your own. We
Right.
did, when we
Yeah,
were
back
your
in,
age.
Yeah, back when
You know,
we
step
crossed
three
the Oregon
is-
Trail.
I need to get my resume out, and I need
Absolutely.
to begin.
Or
seeing
ask
what-
for margin so that you can have an outside opportunity to work.
whatever
Lower
that
my
makes-
hours for the same pay, or whatever.
Like,
Yeah.
like have a blog.
But
Oh,
once you address
I wish-
it,
I
yeah,
wish there was
like
enough
have
money
a
for me not
blog.
to have that conversation with my boss.
Yeah. I mean, with the
Once
going
again,
back,
folks,
Help me not
99
to have to
thoughts.
say anything.
Small group leaders.
help me, help
Help
you.
me this Christmas. Put food on the no.
Tiny
Kind of,
Tim.
but no.
You guys wouldn't have so many kids. I mean, 4 kids, 5 kids. Kids are expensive.
3 kids.
I knew someone in
I
college
just have
who,
girls. They're not
in
that
a fight, their
expensive yet.
mom told
Yet.
them how much that they had cost them. That's how horrible that parent was.
Should you be ordained for a paycheck? Of course not. But should you be ordained? Maybe.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
I
but
would
it
say
turned when
if
he
your only
came back to the,
motivation, yeah.
he came back to the email. It seems like the person didn't want to be ordained.
If you want a raise, leave. Because you will get a raise when you get rehired somewhere.
yeah, I'm not really.
If your only
Yeah.
motivation is money, great, easy, quit. Leave on good terms, put your resume out there, and wait for a job that pays 20 grand more, and then say yes. But obviously, there's way more to it than that.
Well,
it's,
when
it's
she-
calling, it's your heart, it's the opportunity, it's the future. You have to see those things and know. You have to know.
And with the email you read where it's hot one day and cold the next, or great and then bad. I mean, the first step, which obviously he's probably done this, but it probably goes, we need to say it anyhow. The first step is if you can learn to be content, you should really try and find to be content, because it wasn't really a money thing for that one email that you talked about, I don't think. And even if it is a money thing, because no matter how much money you're making, you could be making $200,000 a year and still not be content with what you have. I mean, that's just human nature, is you can fall into that trap of, oh, I just need a little bit more. And when you are discontent, I think that's the first option, is to try and figure out, okay, what is it that's really driving me crazy, and can I let that go? And if you can't, I mean, that's when it's on the table and you need to do something with it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so.
Well, we're going to be asking some of those same questions soon, because in January, our youngest is going to go to preschool, and Ange is going to go back to work for the first time in 9 years.
Yeah.
Partially related to this stuff. So, yeah. I have to admit, I've been thinking about those things.
Yeah.
Not all out. And
So if
all
I
in
can
and
figure
every
out a
other
way
day.
to get 20 grand more at Mariners than
I
what
would
you're
really
making
consider
now,
it.
then you consider it.
I would. I'd pray about it.
What about if I hired one of your staff? Remember we talked
Then I would
about
be angry. I want to.
There's the griff.
I want to
Oh.
stay.
And welcome awake, Jennifer.
know.
Jennifer's wake.
Seriously.
I want to stay where I am for a very long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Very long time. But it isn't. It doesn't look that way.
Yeah.
So.
Ooh,
Whoa.
could this be press release? Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it first.
No, it's no threats. It's
The author of
nothing.
99 Thoughts for Small Group Leaders.
At Azusa.
I want to stay there
APU.
for a really long time, but we're having to answer some really tough
Yeah.
questions about it. Going, well,
So what you're saying is you're gathering all the stuff on the table. Pretty soon you got to have
Totally.
those conversations.
Totally. I guess
And
that's what I'm
all of
saying.
these require difficult conversations. I would say to the ordination one, said, should I start? Should I forget about a full-time gig and just volunteer my time while my family loses time with
Yep.
me without getting reimbursed financially? That one stuck me a little odd because one, it's almost like, well, my family can suffer as long as I get paid for it. And I know that we're not saying that, but I
Yeah.
don't want her to say that.
Totally.
I want her to say, my family's going to win whether I work part-time or full-time
as
or
a
whatever.
volunteer.
Right.
family's got to.
Hey, we got to wrap it up.
We got 1 minute left on the tape.
Well, Matt, happy
tape.
birthday.
Happy birthday, Matty.
Episode 150.
In the can.
SYM team. We don't have new contests for next year, but we have a new theme. We have a new theme, and I'll tell you about it at lunch.
Okay.
As we all
Let's
decide
go.
that will be our theme, and then we'll launch it publicly as a group.
So you're not
made
just
a
going to
decision.
drop it on
No,
high
I'm
from
going to get your vote on it.
Can't wait to hear about your blouse.
vote doesn't
All right,
count,
it's gonna be a fun lunch.
but
All right,
we get to
150,
Happy New Year.
150
Merry
Merry
out.
Christmas.
Merry
Good year,
Christmas,
guys.
you
Merry
guys.
Christmas.
Merry
Way to go.
Christmas. Zambodia.